So this is our assignment on solving systems of equations using the substitution method. It's assignment number 1. I'm going to go through and do a couple of problems with you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat so then I can answer your questions. But as you can see for all of these, in the bottom right corner for each question, like for number 1, you can see our answer is -7, -2. And then for number 2, you can see your answer in the bottom right corner, -1, 4. So your answers are all on there already for you. All you have to do is show your work. And if you get the correct answer, then that means you got it right. You can go on to the next one. So the first one we're going to do together is number 1. All right, so the first one we're doing together is number 1. Our directions: solve each system of equations by substitution. Clearly identify your solution, in which technically that's already done for you, the second part of our directions. So let's go ahead and show all of our work. And we're going to be using the ABA method, which I did on the notes yesterday. So when you're doing this, I like to sort the paper or your question off into those 3 sections, A, B, A, just so it's all sorted out and organized, ready for us to go to start solving. So I have my paper organized with A, B, A. I like to also draw my lines going down to keep it organized so we can see what stuff we're working on in each section. So your A equation is one of your equations that says x equals or y equals. And for this one, they both say y equals. So either one can be your A equation, but just so we're all doing the same thing, let's pick the first one. So y equals 3x plus 19. Let's have that be our A equation. And then the second one is going to be our B equation. Y equals 5x plus 33. So again, for the A equation, write down that A equation again. Y equals 3x plus 19. I'm just getting my paper set up and ready to go so we can just go ahead and start solving it and showing our work. So once you have it organized like this, we're going to take our expression, everything after the equal sign, circle the 3x plus 19, and then we're going to plug it into our B equation. We're going to plug it into the variable y. So let's do our substitution, rewrite the B equation. We're going to substitute instead of y, we have our 3x plus 19. And then I'm going to write down the rest of this equation here, equals 5x plus 33. So I saw someone said it says that I'm cutting off. Is anyone else having problems hearing me or seeing my screen? I moved a little bit closer to my Wi-Fi router, so I thought it would make it better. Is anyone else having issues hearing me or seeing me? I'm not writing anything now. I was just taking a little pause to see if anyone else is having issues with hearing or seeing my work on the screen. And I see some people typing. Let's see what they say. I was hoping today would be better. All right, so I'm going to continue because it doesn't look like anyone else is typing. So I think everyone else is able to hear and see everything I'm doing. So if you're having issues, maybe try logging out and rejoining. Sometimes that works. And if it still doesn't work, then I can help you one-on-one later on with it. All right, so I'm going to continue. Awesome, you can hear me now. Perfect. So I'm going to continue with this problem number 1. So we plugged in, we did our substitution into B, our B equation. So now I'm going to start solving for x. I need to solve for my variable that's left. You can see we have the variable x on both sides of this equation. So it's just solving a multi-step equation. I'm going to move this positive 5x to the other side of the equation. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do minus 5x on both sides. So these 5x's cancel out. And then we can start simplifying. We have over here on the left the 3x minus 5x, so I get a negative 2x, bring down the plus 19, and my equal sign, and this positive 33. Okay, we still got a couple more steps. It looks like a two-step equation from here. Next is adding or subtracting. Which number should I add or subtract to both sides? Should I get rid of the negative 2 or the positive 19? Which number should I get rid of next? Go ahead and write that in the chat. Which number can I add or subtract to both sides to help with solving for x? Go ahead and write that in the chat. So I see one answer so far. Which number should I add or subtract to both sides? I've got a couple of answers in there and you guys are correct. We're going to next get rid of that positive 19 by doing the opposite. Minus 19 on both sides, so it cancels out. And then I bring down my negative 2x, bring down my equal sign, and then we have 33 minus 19, so I get positive 14. One more step, let's get rid of this negative 2. Since we know this is read as multiplication, we read that as negative 2 times x. We're going to do the opposite, divide by a negative 2 on both sides, so it cancels out. And then we have our x equals positive 14 divided by negative 2 is negative 7. So we have part of our answer. And you can also double check over here at your answers. The ordered pair, it's always labeled x comma y. And you can see for our answer, it says x equals negative 7. So that means our first part of our answer is correct. You can keep on going with solving it. If you ended up getting the wrong answer, like say you ended up getting x equals negative 5 or some other answer, I would stop there and redo all of the work that you've already done. I would not continue, because if your first part of your answer is wrong, then that means the rest of your answer is also going to be wrong. So go ahead, if you got a mistake at that point, you would go back and fix it. So let's continue. I know I got it right because down here it says x is a negative 7. And I'm going to take this negative 7 and I'm going to plug that into the A equation. Since x equals negative 7, this negative 7 is going to go into, substituted into the variable x. So let's rewrite this equation, but instead of the x, I'm going to put my negative 7. So I have my y equals, if the 3 and the x are touching, what is the operation? What's happening between 3 and x? Is it 3 plus x, 3 minus x, 3 times x, or 3 divided by x? What's happening between? Is it adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing between the 3 and the x? Go ahead and write that in the chat. Is the 3 and the x getting added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided? Got a couple of answers in there, and you guys are correct. It is read as 3 times x, so that is multiplication. So when you plug in your negative 7, I always like to put it in the parentheses. You can also use the dot for multiplication. I don't recommend using the x because that can be a little bit messy. But I just wrote down the rest of the equation, and then you're just solving with PEMDAS. Next is our multiplication. Our 3 times negative 7 is negative 21. Bring down the rest of the problem. One more step, adding and subtracting negative 21 plus 19. And then we get negative 2. You can double check your answer here. Bottom right, it says x is negative 7. We already checked that. And now it says y equals negative 2. Down here, that means our answer is correct. The negative 7 comma negative 2, you did your work correct. Okay, I'm going to do, I think, 2 more questions with you guys. And then if you want me to do any more, I can do that with you. But eventually at the end of this whole entire worksheet, you guys are going to be doing all 8 questions. You're doing all of numbers 1 through 8. I'm just doing a couple of them with you guys. So you're technically not doing all of them on your own. So just follow along with me. The next one we're going to do together is number 3. The next one together that we're doing is number 3. But like I just said, you're going to end up doing all of these questions on this worksheet. I'm just doing a couple of random ones with you guys. So the next one together is number 3. First, let's organize our paper. A, B, A. So we have our 3 columns. Which one should be my A equation? The one that says if x equals or y equals. Is it the first equation or the second equation? Write that in the chat. Which one is my A equation? The first one or the second one? Or you can actually write it out. Which one is the A equation? Is it y equals x plus 8 or x plus y equals 2? Go ahead and write in the chat, which one is my A equation? I've got a couple of answers there. Awesome. And you guys are correct. My A equation is, for this one, it's the first one. Y equals x plus 8. So that is my first, or my A equation. That means my B equation is the other one, the x plus y equals 2. So again, for the A equation, we're writing down the A equation again. Y equals x plus 8. And when you're writing these down, you're writing them down a couple of times. So be careful, double check, make sure you wrote it down correct. Because I know we're human, we make mistakes. So just take your time with it. You want to make sure you have written down the correct equation. So always double check. That's the most important part. So typically when I see people make mistakes, most of the time they just wrote down the wrong equation. It's just a simple mistake. So take your time with that part. So next, let's go ahead and start solving it. I'm going to take my expression, this x plus 8, everything after the equal sign, and I'm going to plug it into the B equation. Where should I put the x plus 8? Should it go into the x or into the y? Where am I substituting this x plus 8? Should it go into the x or into the y in the B equation? Go ahead and write in the chat, where should I put the x plus 8? Should I substitute the x plus 8? Should it go in the x or into the y? So over here, you can see it says y equals x plus 8. So think, right in the chat, where should I put the x plus 8 in my B equation? I see a couple of answers. You guys are correct. I'm going to take this x plus 8 and I'm going to plug it into the y. I'm going to do my substitution into the y. I'm going to rewrite this equation. Instead of y, I have my x plus 8. So the y is gone, and instead of that, I wrote my x plus 8, and then I bring down the rest of the equation. And then we can start solving, combining like terms. We know our invisible number is 1, so I put my invisible 1 in front of both of those x's. Let's combine like terms. 1x plus 1x, or 1 plus 1 is 2. Here's my variable x. Copy down the rest of the equation. And then we're just solving our two-step equation. Next is adding or subtracting. So I will do minus 8 on both sides. So then I have a 2x equals negative 6. We know we read that 2x as multiplication. You read it as 2 times x. So I'm going to do the opposite. Divide by 2 on both sides. So x equals, right in the chat, what does x equal? If you divide negative 6 divided by 2, negative 6 divided by a positive 2, what does x equal? Write it in the chat, please. Awesome, good job. So for this, x equals negative 3. And you can double check, remember it's x comma y. It says x is negative 3. We did it correct. We can keep on working from there. But remember, if you got the wrong answer, go back and check your work first. Fix it, and then once you get it correct, then you can keep on going. So let's take my negative 3. Since x equals negative 3, where should I put that negative 3 in my A equation? Should I put my negative 3 in the y or in the x? Go ahead and write that in the chat. Where should the negative 3 go? In the y or in the x? And you guys are correct. Going to go into the variable x. We're substituting instead of x. We're going to put our negative 3. We have y equals, whoops. Instead of x, I'm writing my negative 3. And then I'm writing down the rest of the equation. And then you're just solving, combining, adding, subtracting. We have a negative 3 plus 8 to get a positive 5, which you can see down on the bottom right corner. It says y is positive 5. That means our answer of x is negative 3 and y is positive 5. We know that is correct. Okay, we're going to do one more problem together, unless if you guys want to do more after that. The next one we're going to do together is number 7. And remember, you guys are going to go back and do all of these questions. I'm just doing a couple of them with you guys. Next one we're doing together is number 7. Oops. So I have A, B, A. Okay, A, B, A. Organize my paper so it's ready to go, keeping it nice and organized. So our A equation is the one that says x equals or y equals, and for this one, that's our first one. So y equals 2x plus 1. Our B equation is the other one, 2x minus y equals 3. And then I'm going to rewrite my A equation one more time. Y equals 2x plus 1. Okay? So let's take this 2x plus 1, and I'm going to plug it into the B equation. Where should I take the 2x plus 1? Where am I substituting into the B equation? Into the x or into the y? Go ahead and write that in the chat for me, please. Where does the 2x plus 1 go? Into the x or into the y? And you guys are correct. I go into the variable y. So let's do our substitution, plugging it in. Rewriting the B equation, 2x minus, there's the variable y, so we're going to get rid of the variable y. And let's put parentheses in this entire thing here. It is 2x plus 1, 2x plus 1. Make sure you write down that entire thing and keep it in parentheses. Bring down the rest of your equation, that equals 3. And then we can start solving for our variable x. How can I get rid of the parentheses? What should I do with the invisible number that's in front of the parentheses? I'm going to give you a hint. It starts with the letter D. How can I get rid of the parentheses? Go ahead and write your answer in the chat. The property starts with the letter D. And if it helps, I'm going to draw my visual to remember. What is that property called to get rid of the parentheses when you multiply by the number in front of the parentheses? Awesome, good job. And yes, we are going to distribute. And since we didn't see our number there, I put my invisible 1, and you're actually going to distribute a -1. So I like to circle what number I'm distributing so it helps me see exactly which number to multiply with. So let's go ahead and start distributing my first jump. The -1 times 2x is -2x. That was my one that was closer. And then my second jump, the one that's further away, don't forget it. -1 times +1 is -1. So I did my distributing. Now let's copy the rest of our problem down. I haven't touched this 2x here. Bring down my equals and the 3. What should my next step be for solving this equation? Should I move the 1 to the other side, or should I combine like terms? What's going to be the best choice for solving this equation? Should I move the 1 to the other side, or should I combine like terms? What's the next best step? Go ahead and write it in the chat. So your next best step for this one is combine like terms. And I saw an answer in the chat. Good job. So let's combine like terms. We have 2x minus 2x. You're just adding or subtracting the coefficients, the numbers. 2 minus 2 is 0. So if you get a 0, you do not need to write the variable x, because anything times 0 is always just 0. So keep the 2x minus 2x is just a 0. And copy down the rest of the equation. -1 and equals 3. So we know that 0 has no value. It means nothing to us. It's just there. It's just kind of existing. So let's get rid of that 0. And I'm going to rewrite my equation. -1 equals 3. So what do you guys notice about this -1 equals 3? What are we missing at this step that we've had at all the other problems that we've done so far? What is it missing? And it starts with the letter V. And I see, yeah, awesome, good job. We are missing a variable, and x can also be a variable, but the more general term is variable. So for this one, yes, we're missing a variable. So this is kind of our funny solutions here. You can ask yourself, if there's no variable, you're going to say, is this a true statement? Does -1 equal 3? Is that a true statement? Yes or no? Go ahead and write that in the chat. Does -1 equal 3? Is that a true statement? Yes or no? Write that in the chat. And the correct answer is no, it is not a true statement. So since there are no variables, because they canceled out, we know that -1 does not equal 3. So you can actually put a line through it. That means -1 does not equal 3. That means your answer is either no solution, or you can put the 0 with this line going through it. You can write your answer either way. You can actually write out the word no solution, or you can put the 0 with a slash through it. Just know that these two are the same thing. They have the same exact meaning. So if you're taking a test and it's multiple choice, sometimes it might be written as no solution. Sometimes it might be written as this 0 with a slash going through it. So if I were you, if you get a no solution, I would write out both ways every single time, just so you can remember that it means the same thing. No solution also means the 0 with a slash going through it, the same thing. Okay, so for this worksheet, you guys are going to go back and you're going to finish all of these questions. You should have all of numbers 1 through 8 finished. Make sure you show all of your work, show every single step when you're doing this. And when you guys submit a picture on Schoology, a couple of you have, or all of you guys have been submitting pictures so far. Just make sure when you submit your picture, I should be able to see the entire paper. I should be able to see all of your work. I want to see everything that you have done so far. Okay, so even if we do questions together, I want to see those ones, because to me, it looks like you're following along and you're paying attention. So whenever you submit a picture, everything that's in my red box, I should be able to see all of your work. Even if it's on regular lined paper, just make sure you submit all of your work. If it's on a couple pages, you can submit a couple of pictures. And if you're not sure how to submit a couple of pictures, you can send me a message and I can help you how to do that one-on-one. But that is it for today. If you have no questions for me, you're welcome to sign out and continue finishing these last few questions. But if you do have any questions, you can stay on and you can ask me some questions here. But that is it for today. I will stop my recording if you have any questions.